Hello everyone. So we have here our lesson 5, which is the hyperbola. So again, before I start with my lecture, let us have first the objectives for this lesson. So at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to first define what hyperbola is. Second, determine the standard form of equation of hyperbola. And lastly, graph hyperbola in a rectangular coordinate system. So let us define what hyperbola is. So a hyperbola is a locus of points whose difference of distances from two fixed points is a constant. So say for example, we have here the example of a graph of a parabola. Kanang blue nga curve dara mo na dagway sa hyperbola. So mura siya og duha ka parabola. So di ba sa ellipsis, mura siya duha ka parabola nga gisugat. Pag abot sa hyperbola, mura siya duha ka parabola kaya lang nagtalikdanay pud sila, no? So the definition, we have a locus of points. It is the set of points whose difference of distances. So, kung sa ellipse, we have sum of distances. Kini po siya is difference. So, meaning is-subtract, no? So, say for example, we have P sub 1. Kini, P sub 1, kana, point 1. Okay. Ang distance daw niya from two fixed point, ang two fixed point nato, we have F sub 1 and F sub 2. So, kung ang distance daw ni P sub 1, padulong kay P sub 2, i-minus daw na to, subtract difference, no? Or, kani, i-subtract na to sa distance from F sub 2. Say, for example, ibutang na to nga 2A siya, no? Constant na 2A. Okay. So, again, any point diri sa ato ang hyperbola, for example, si P sub 2 punta, okay, another point, ang distance ni P sub 2 from F sub 2, i-subtract na to sa distance from P sub 2 to F sub 1, constant lang gihapon. Or, let's say 2A. 2A lang gihapon siya. So, any point from the curve, any point dira nga curve, or any point diri nga curve, ang difference sa ilang distance from two fixed point, no, is a constant. So, in this example, we have the distance from P sub 1 to F sub 1 minus the distance from P sub 1 to F sub 2 is equals to, equal lang siya sa P sub 2, distance from P sub 2 and F sub 1 minus P sub 2 and F sub 2. So, ang difference sa ilahang distances, any points diha, difference nila from F sub 1 and F sub 2 will be equal, constant. Okay, constant siya. So, equal na siya tanan. Okay? Next, we have the elements of hyperbola. Okay, the first element in hyperbola, of course, we have the foci. Okay, we have the foci, again, plural for focus, the two fixed points of the hyperbola. So, makita niyo sa example graph, there is sa right side, we have focus or F sub 1 and focus, we have F sub 2. Kanang green nga points dara, mo na ang atuang foci. Next, we also have vertices, so the points at which the hyperbola makes its sharpest turn. So, kaning brown ba ni siya? O, kanang murag brown nga murag orange nga point, mao ni siya ang vertices. So, one vertex. So, duha man na natong vertex, so we have vertices. Next, we also have the center, the point in the middle of the hyperbola's foci and vertices. So, midpoint siya sa duha ka focus and midpoint po siya sa duha ka vertex, no? So, midpoint ang atong center. Next, we also have asymptotes, two lines that the hyperbola approaches. So, kaning broken line dere, these are what we call the asymptotes. So, these are the lines that the graph of hyperbola approaches but never touches. No? So, dili gyud na mo touch ang graph sa ato ang hyperbola sa asymptotes. Next, we also have the transverse axis. Okay, transverse axis is the line segment joining the vertices. So, kaning orange nga line mo ni ginatawag nato nga transverse axis. It it connects the two vertices, no? It has the length of 2a. So, meaning, from center to one vertex, this is distance a. So, since duha man, no? Okay, so ang length sa ato ang transverse axis, we have 2a. For next na element, we have conjugate axis, a line segment passing through the center and is perpendicular to the transverse axis with the length of 2b. So, kani pod, kaning murag brown nga line, kani. Kana. Mo na siyang ginatawag na conjugate axis. Murag na siya major and minor axis sa ellipse. Ang kaapan lang, pag abot sa hyperbola, pwede na sila mag-equal ang ilahang distance or ang ilahang value, ang ilahang length, no? Pwede nga si transverse mas dako kaysa conjugate, pwede pod nga si conjugate mas dako kaysa kay transverse, or pwede pod nga equal na sila. Unlike sa ellipse nga, si major axis dako gid siya compared kay minor axis, no? So mao na. We also have the auxiliary rectangle, the rectangle whose vertices lie on the asymptotes of the hyperbola and whose sides contain the vertices of the hyperbola. Actually, in kaning tawag ani in graphing later, dili naman nato i-graph apil ang auxiliary rectangle, but part man siya sa element. So, gipakita nako. So, ang tawag ani ang auxiliary rectangle kaning makita ninyo nga murag dili murag rectangle jud siya. Okay. It contains the vertex, no? Vertex of our tawag ni vertices of our hyperbola. Tapos ang iyahang corner kanang iyahang vertex pod, vertices sa rectangular I mean sa auxiliary rectangle. Siya pod ang point kanang every corner niya maigo pod na siya sa ato ang asymptotes. So kana o kana nga corner. Okay, maigo na siya sa asymptote. So, mo na siyang ginatawag nato nga auxiliary rectangle. Kung ano siya invisible, no? Or pwede po imaginary rectangle. Ana. Next, we also have, of course, we have the latera recta. Okay. Again, since mura man siya duha ka parabola, so duha po ang atong latus rectum. So, latera recta, lines pass through foci and terminates itself in the hyperbola. So, kani. Okay, kani ang latera recta. Latus rectum sa right side and latus rectum sa left side na hyperbola. So, mo na siya ang latus rectum. So, those are the elements for our hyperbola. So, next, we have here the standard form of equation of hyperbola. So, we have two equations. Just like sa ato ang ellipse, we have horizontal and vertical hyperbola. So, the first equation, we have quantity of x minus h squared over a squared minus quantity of y minus k squared over b squared, that is equals to 1. The vertex or the coordinates of our vertices, we have h plus minus a and k. For co-vertices, we have h and k plus minus b. For foci, we have h plus minus c and k. And then we have, by the way, ang center aniha is h and k. Okay, h and k center. Then we have the equation of asymptotes. We have y that is equals to positive negative b over a times the quantity of x minus h plus k. So, ang graph ani niya class is kani. Okay, kani. Okay, so we have, this is what we call the horizontal hyperbola. Kay, ang opening manila is left and right. So, we have horizontal hyperbola. Okay, the second standard form, we have quantity of y minus k squared over a squared minus quantity of x minus h squared over b squared, that is equals to 1. So, kung ingani po ang ato ang standard form, we have vertices at H and K plus minus A. Co-vertices, again, ang center is H and K ha. Okay, co-vertices, we have H plus minus B and K. For foci, we have H and K plus minus C. And we have, for the equation of asymptotes, we have y that is equals to plus minus A over B times quantity of x minus H plus K. Where our A, okay, ang A and B, pwede si A greater than B, pwede si A less than B, pwede po na si A equals to B. So, pwede na sila. Ang nakalahi lang ani, or ang atong timan-an lang kung kinsa ang A, kinsa ang B, kung kinsa tong denominator sa ato ang minuwen katong term nga minusan. So, say for example, sa ato ang first equation kani, minuwen. Sa second equation kani, okay, kung kinsa tong minuwen, ang iyahang denominator will be our A or A squared. Sa subtrahen, always ang B squared. Okay? So, kana lang ang timan-an. Pwede si A greater than B, pwede si A less than B, pwede si A equals to B, but dapat si A will always be the denominator of our minuwen. No? Minuwen. Katong term nga minusan. Okay? So, we use the following notations for easier reference. We have A, the distance from center to one vertex. So, meaning, from center, center to one vertex, ang distance nila will be A. So, distance A. We also have B, the distance from center to one endpoint of conjugate axis. So, from this center to one endpoint of conjugate axis, that will be distance B. For distance C, the distance from center to one focus, or katong ginatawag nato nga focal distance. So, from center to one focus, ana, padulong dra, that will be our distance C. So, other useful formulas, no? We have C, that is equals to the square root of A squared plus B squared. That is the distance from center to focus, one focus, or the focal distance. Okay, so formula na siya in getting C because kung mapansin ninyo sa ato ang standard form, di ba? A and B lang ang naa dito, walay distance C. So to get distance C, we have C that is equals to the square root of A squared plus B squared. We also have B squared over A, that is the distance from focus to one endpoints of latus rectum. So, one endpoint sa latus rectum.